Hi everybody, welcome to the show. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Raising A to Z. It is a YouTube channel all about homeschooling. My name is Amanda. I am a teacher-turned-homeschool mom, and I am wrapping up. This is the last video in my series on reading and reading education when it comes to homeschooling. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things we like to do that is totally a literacy activity, and it is one of those activities that just doesn't feel like learning, but it is so educational and so fun, but it doesn't feel like learning. And my kids love it. We do it almost every single week. And that is poetry tea time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about poetry tea time today and why I think it is one of the best homeschool things that has ever come out. It's honestly one of the best. Poetry tea time, which was called Tuesday tea time for a long time. If you were on Instagram, it was the hashtag, was an idea. It was started by Julie Bogart. She is the author of The Brave Learner and the Brave Writer curriculum. She was homeschooled for many years, and she did these Tuesday tea times with her kids. And basically the idea is that you're going to sit down and share poetry with your kids while drinking tea, and basically have like a little mini tea party once a week. And it sounds like so frivolous. The amount of learning and education and literacy that is happening during a poetry tea time is insane. I recommend it to everybody. Now, you can totally customize it and make it work for you. And I'm going to show you how I do it and how you can customize it as well. Okay? So we're going to talk all about poetry tea time because I really think it is like so good. Before I do that, why don't you guys go down and subscribe and then click the bell so that you get notifications when I put out more videos like this about ideas on how to homeschool and reading and literacy and all good things. Poetry tea time. So basically I like to break poetry tea time down into 4 parts. You don't necessarily have to do all 4 parts, but I think there's just like something so great about it because it's really not hard. It's 4 simple steps and you get so much out of it. So the first thing I like to consider is what we're going to eat. This is not necessarily a Julie Bogart thing. This is a me thing. If I'm going to sit down and read some books and have a cup of tea, I want to have something to eat with it. So I like to serve my tea with snacks. And so I've actually kind of added this in as like a life skills element. And so in the morning when we do our tea time in the afternoon, it replaces our afternoon snack because I'm not making 2 snacks in a day. But what we do in the morning is we get together and we pick a recipe, we decide what we're going to make, and then me and my kids make something together that we're going to eat. We bake it in the morning so it's all cooled and ready, and then we eat it later in the afternoon at tea time. It works so well. So then we're like pulling in some math and some science, life skills. We get to do that in the morning, and then it's connected to our tea time. So it's kind of like this really nice melding of subjects. And so that's one of the reasons why I love to do the baking aspect of it. And so we do things like cookies and brownies and cinnamon rolls and banana breads and loaves and different things like that. If you are not a baker and you're like, that's just already stressing me out, you can skip the food step. You can buy pre-made stuff. You can serve whatever you want. Sometimes we serve like Pillsbury cinnamon rolls. Those are just the easiest thing some days. Oftentimes, if I don't have time, if I make cookies, I'll make like a double batch and I freeze some. And then if I have a day where I just don't have time, we don't have time, or we're too tired to make cookies in the morning, I already have some in the freezer. But you can totally, just use pre-made food, or you can do other things. We have done things like fruit salads. We've done make your own trail mix. We've also done like ice cream sundae bar in the summer. That was a hit. So like basically all I'm looking for, some kind of snack. And if you can make it together in the morning, bonus. If not, and you just want to like cut up some food and serve it to your kids, it's golden. Really, the food is kind of like the bonus to this whole thing, but we love it. And like I said, we use afternoon tea as a time to replace when my kids normally have an afternoon snack anyway. So having food is kind of a no-brainer for us. But you do you. The next part of a poetry tea time is the drinks. And this is the number one thing I get asked whenever we're talking about poetry tea time, whenever I post about it online. What are you serving your kids to drink? What tea are they drinking? Well, I'm going to spill the tea. It's iced tea. No, my kids are not sitting here drinking Earl Grey. They're not drinking green tea. They are drinking like Nestea or Arizona. They're drinking iced tea. I'd say probably 80% of the time we're having iced tea. It's easy. It's pre-made. I just literally put in the small 1-liter cartons, pop them in the fridge in the morning, have tea, pour it in the teapot in the afternoon. I'm done. It works for us. Alexi is not a huge fan of hot drinks to begin with, and she's not a super huge fan of anything other than water. She finds it's just not her thing. So she will drink some juices and stuff, but like compared to like Zoe, she's just not a huge fan of things other than water. So she will drink iced tea, but like usually she limits herself to like 1 glass. She's just, after that she's kind of capped out. But yeah, so we'll sit there and we'll just have, we have things like iced tea, lemonade, chocolate milk. In the winter we have hot chocolate. My kids do like hot chocolate. Zoe will drink peppermint tea and she will drink raspberry tea hot. Lexi won't. But so like really to me, the drink that you're serving is not important. Just serve whatever makes everyone happy, whatever is easy for you. The drink is not the important part of poetry tea time. Like what tea you're drinking is not important. It is about the routine. It is about the sitting down, sharing a snack and a glass of something, and reading and sharing ideas and literacy. That's the important part. The tea, whatever you're serving, was whatever your kids will drink. And really, once it's in a cup, it doesn't really matter anyway. So serve what works for you, serve what your kids like. And like, we pretty much only drink water. We only drink water. So when we serve poetry tea time, if we're doing a juice or a lemonade or something like that, and it's more sweet or sugary, I know some people don't like that. To us, it's just like adding to like the treat element of poetry tea time and making it special, because we drink water every other meal, every other day, all day long. It's a little treat and it just makes things a little extra sweet. So we've got our food, we've got our drinks, now it's time to set up. So I like to set up my table. I have tablecloths and tea sets and teacups. I like candles. I will go and get flowers from outside if it's summer or spring, and I have options like that. And I try to make the table really nice. It gets everybody involved and it just kind of brings in some nice elements. Like, yeah, it just makes it feel a little fancier and a little like done up, and like that you've prepared this. Sometimes I add some like seasonal elements. I have different tablecloths and stuff. Some people get concerned when I talk about these kinds of things about like the cost of these things. You can go as basic or as extravagant as you want. We have a couple of tablecloths. I always get tablecloths at the end of the season for the most part, from like a Winners or something like that. And usually they go on sale for like $10. So I've like over the years, I've collected a couple of different tablecloths. They go out, we have our nice tea time, and then they're pretty much done after that and we throw them in the wash. I've kind of like amassed my little collection of tablecloths. I've also amassed a little collection of teacups and tea sets. So I had one that I was gifted when I was getting married. That was our primary tea set for a long time. This year I actually invested and bought a new one. I'll put a link to it down below because it's really cute and it comes in a couple different colors. But you can actually get a lot of really great options. You can use mugs if you want, if that's what you got and that's what you want. You do you get mugs. I like pulling out like something special that's like, this is signifying this is tea time. If you wanted, like if you're on a real tight budget, I got a whole set of these. I got 5 teacups and 5 saucers for $8 from a thrift store. Don't go to an antique store. They're gonna charge you an arm and a leg. Go to like a thrift store and you'll get some really great options there. I have a couple of sets that we kind of pull out, so it gives us some options. My kids like that they get to pick. But if you're just starting, start with one little set, a teapot and some teacups. Thrift stores are great options if you have one near you. Check them out. Also yard sales, things like that. Like I said, it's been 5 years and we've kind of amassed a couple of different options and different sets over the years. I have these like little espresso mugs that I've picked up at Winners. I have a couple that have different holiday themes on them. My kids love them, and usually after the season, just like with tablecloths, I get them for like $3 for 4 espresso cups. They think it's the greatest thing ever, and so those are also great options to look for things after the season. I like to pull out my tablecloth, we set the table. I have like candles that I'll light. Just dollar store candles work just as well as regular candles. And if it's in season, I will go outside and grab some flowers from our garden or whatever and pop them on the table too. The setup is just like, it just gets everything going. And then the last thing when it comes to poetry tea time is the poetry. And so there's a couple ways you can go about this. The easiest way is to pick like a book of poetry and work your way through it. It is probably the easiest way to get to do poetry because you don't have to think about it. You literally just pick up a book. You just pick a book and you just open it, and every day, every time you do tea time, you read 4 or 5 poems, and then you put it down and you move on. That's probably the easiest way. And when I open my poetry book, we read them, we talk about what do you think this one's about? What does this remind you of? Can you make a connection to something else we've read before? Is there words you don't understand? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? And just kind of like discussing what the poems are about. That is kind of like the first and easiest option. And in a minute, I'll show you a couple of my favorite poetry books that I've kind of amassed over the years as well. Another option is to pick some books that go with a theme. So we've done this a few times. Once we did like during December, typically we do like Christmas books. So we'll sit down and do tea time, and we just pull out a whole bunch of Christmas stories and we'll sit and read them. That's kind of a nice option to kind of get you in the festive mood. We have hot chocolate and we have gingerbread, and we read Christmas books over tea time. And that's also a great option. Another thing that we've done is we've done like a month of when we sit down to tea time, doing almost like a mini author study, and we read as many books as we could from a particular author, whether it was Robert Munsch or Barbara Reed or whoever you want to read. That was also a really great option of picking a couple of different books and kind of seeing how one author's style works. And we just picked those up from our local library. So again, another great option. The third kind of thing you can do when it comes to poetry is if your kids want to share something they've written. So I know this is probably much easier when you have older children, to have them come and share either a piece of writing, a story, a poem, something that they've written, or they can bring and share something that they found that they really enjoyed, song lyrics or a poem that they found, reading it and sharing it with the group. But I also don't want you to think that like you can't do that with little ones. So sometimes like Alexi has written a story or a little like made a little newspaper or something. She will come and she'll sit and read that with us. And sometimes like Zoe, who doesn't write right now, she's just in like the very early stages of learning her letters and stuff, she will do like drawings and like make a book of drawings. I bring them in, let them read their story, and she like tells me what the story is based off of the pictures. And that's pre-reading. That's like an incredible skill. And so like to encourage that, we will sit down and we'll listen to her stories as well. That's why poetry tea time is so incredible as a learning tool, because you can hit all different kinds of levels just by sitting down and sharing what they're working on. You can cover all kinds of topics because you're doing everything from poetry to stories and prose to like narration. Like you're hitting so many different literacy topics. There's so much reading happening, and no one really notices the amount of learning that they're doing. And so it is just incredible. Those are my favorite things. That's why I love doing poetry tea time. That's how we set up poetry tea time. But I'm also going to share with you guys real quick. I've got a couple of poetry anthologies. I do invest in one per year, give or take. It's in my homeschool budget, and I just find having, like I said, an anthology is a really easy way to sit down and open it up and just read a couple, and then you don't have to think about it. I'm all about making life easy when it comes to homeschooling, and sometimes taking out decisions is a great way to do that. So having some really good anthologies really helps make sitting down to do it so much easier. There have been days where I'm like, kids are like, Mom, it's tea time. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. And so we literally just like, I'm pulling out some like Oreos out of the cupboard. There's room temperature iced tea because it never got into the fridge being poured into their cups. And all I have to do is like, there's no tablecloth, and all I have to do is pick up an anthology and just get going. And so like that's a nice option when it comes to having at least one anthology in your kind of collection. So I'm going to share with you a couple that I've got here. The first anthologies that we ever got were Shel Silverstein. These ones. Again, I think everyone who knows who Shel Silverstein is. These are super popular. They're kind of funny and silly. They make you think. I found this collection at Chapters Indigo. I got it on sale. So I think originally it was the 3 books for $30. I got it for 50% off after Christmas one year, like years ago. So I got all 3 for $15, which is a ridiculous price. I believe they're usually listed for about $20 a book. Like I said, Christmas is going to be here soon. Make sure you check after Christmas or before Christmas. You might find a great option or a great price on these. So we've read through 2 of these. I don't think we did finish Falling Up. I don't think we read this one yet. So I have one left still, actually. These are great. We love them. They're funny, they're silly, kids think they're great. They're illustrated as well, which is a bonus. I also have Poetry for Kids by Emily Dickinson. So these are all Emily Dickinson poems. They are a very different style than Michelle Silverstein, which is funny. These are a lot more serious. They're a little bit more kind of Middle English, but it's nice to expose kids to different types of poetry and different types of prose and vernacular and all of that. So we read this, my kids did enjoy it, and I find a lot of it is like very kind of like, this one is a lot of like nature kind of stuff, so it was really nice. They really enjoyed it, and it is also illustrated. This one, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, this is the stories and poems of Mr. Rogers, and we really loved it. It's a lot of like lyrics, which is kind of nice, especially if you wanted to add that element of like reading the poem and then listening to it as a song. That's kind of a fun element. It is beautifully illustrated, like really cute illustrations, really nice cartoony style, and it was just lovely to read. So we did read this one probably 2 years ago, and it was wonderful. I highly recommend it, especially if you have young kids. If you're starting with like kindergartners, it's a great option. And then this is this year's book. This one was something that I was looking for a new anthology for this year, and this one actually came highly recommended, and I can see why. So this is National Geographic's. It is the Book of Nature Poetry, and they do have a farm one as well. I'll put the link for that one below. That might be next year's, but basically every page has a beautiful poem by all different kinds of poets, which is phenomenal. So you're getting lots of different styles, lots of different forms, prose, haikus, all that. But then like the photos in this book, I'm sorry, it's National Geographic. They're like absolutely insane, gorgeous photos. So it is a beautiful book to look at. It's a beautiful book to read, and so far we've been reading this one for about 6 or 7 weeks now, because it's this year's book, and we're obsessed. We love it. And it was less than $30, which is not unreasonable for an anthology. So that is everything I have to say about Poetry Tea Time. If you guys have any questions, make sure you leave them down below. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell so you know when I put out more videos like this. And if you want to see how I do Poetry Tea Time on a weekly basis, make sure you're following me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.